Hello everyone. Good evening na naman to your, usual Project Offbeat episode. Alam nyo na to, right? This is the podcast where we feature the offbeaten careers of this world. And Matt, uh, ito na, I think isa to sa mga pinaka offbeaten na career talaga, no?
Very
Bago
exciting
to.
career.
Very exciting. Bagong-bago tong career na to. Hopefully, this episode might even be the entry point for a lot of our listeners na mapakinggan tong career na to. No? So, it's gonna be an exciting, episode today, no? Actually, without further ado, in today's episode, Matt, we're actually talking about a career that rose to fame in the past few months.
It's getting
Uh,
mainstream
you know,
attention, yeah.
Exactly. Every time a new episode of the Drag Race comes out, people in Twitter clamor about it. Diba? My friends go to their Instagram and, shouts out their candidates, diba? And the winners, right? So, talagang sobrang sikat to, and I'm just really thrilled, to be now, 'di ba, talking with someone that has a good exposure about this industry, 'di ba? Obviously, yung fashion has also taken a next level, 'di ba, because of their appearances and their rise to fame, right? And
Mm-mm.
these
Yeah.
queens, Matt. Oh, hint na yun sa mga guests natin, ah. These queens are here to slay the party, 'di ba? So, anyways, Matt, can you give more details to our guest today?
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I feel like warrants the exposure because it's such a niche culture, but nobody really talks about it really. Like even in a progressive company, parang di pa rin ako super exposed. So I'm super excited to
Totoo yan.
learn more about this career. Ngayon, our guest today is a queen in all rights. They perform as a drag artist. Who mixes aesthetics from her childhood with stunning
Mm-hmm.
performances like that of cartoon, anime, pop music.
Mm-hmm.
They also are the winner of the first season of Space Manila's online competition Spotlight and is the wonderful co-host of Bekenemen Podcast, popularly known to bring together watch parties and reaction commentaries to the famous Drag Race series.
Grabe. Hindi lang to, siguro Matt, gusto ko rin i-shoutout, no? They are also one of our fellow podcasters sa Bang Collective, 'di ba? So it's really, 'di
Exactly.
ba? A
Yes.
lot of firsts for us in this episode. But anyways, without further ado, Matt, why don't we bring into the show our guest today, Myx Chanel. They join us today in the Project Offbeat podcast to talk about the career of being a queen or of being a drag artist. Welcome to the show, Myx. Kamusta ka?
Hi Lance, hi Matt, good evening.
Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, no. Mix, I just wanna shout out siguro muna sila Burn and VP, no, of our podcast
Correct.
network, Bank Collective. Sabi ko sa kanila, Burn VP, kailangan namin ng off-beaten careers from our guest. Ang bilis nila, ikaw agad yung nireto nila dito. Of course, your career is so unique, di ba? So you're perfect for the Project Offbeat podcast, no? Uh, anyways, Mix, why don't you uh start off by telling us more about yourself, about your career, right? And diba, why you're called Mix Chanel.
Mhm. So yes, I am a drag artist. On top of that, I'm also like a podcaster. I'm also an events host and events producer. Um, generally raketera, workaholic in a way.
Ayun, ayun. Take us through, ano ba yung mga steps, no, of being a drag artist, right? Paano yung handa nyo dito na? Is it like any other performers out there? We've interviewed an aerial dancer before, an events
Mhm.
host before, but this is the first time a drag artist, 'di ba? Paano kayo naghahanda throughout the day?
Well, being a drag artist is kind of like being an artista in a way,
Ooh.
but the difference is rather than having like a full-on glam team to like someone doing your makeup for you, someone doing your hair
Yeah.
for you, somebody doing your styling.
Mm,
When you're a drag artist, you're doing everything. You're doing
grabe.
every most things yourself, and you perform. A lot of us, like majority, do lip sync performances. There are some live singers, some stand-up comedians, some hosts such as myself. Yeah, it's just like a general performer, just a bit
Mm,
more
mm.
glamorous, I guess.
Siyempre, 'di ba? Yung mga suot nyo ba, Mix, 'di ba? That's what always impresses me about drag artists. Grabe yung mga yung mga outfits niyo, right? And yung mga fashion niyo. Is that you as well behind all of those costumes and outfits?
In a way, yes. Actually, a funny thing about me is, in drag, I'm usually like super colorful. I love like my
Mhm.
pastel hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Out of drag, I'm all black everything. So I mean,
Right,
it's
right.
yeah, it's still like my own self expression, but at the same time, parang for most for most queens, even though not everyone naman thinks of themselves or thinks of their drag character as a separate persona, but
Yeah.
at the
Mhm.
same time, parang meron pa rin talagang that like delineation between the in drag and out of drag person.
Para dun sa mga nakikinig sa ating mga audience right now, 'di ba? What if hindi lang sila gano'n ka-familiar sa
Mhm.
sinasabi nating term right now, which is drag artist, no?
Yes.
How does this word, come up to life, 'di ba? Bakit drag yung tawag sa kanya? Bakit drag artist ang tawag sa inyo?
So madaming parang I guess myths of where the term
Right.
comes from.
Right, right,
Parang may
right, right,
iba-iba
right.
bang ano like urban legends of where the term comes from.
Right,
One
right, right.
comes from like Shakespearean era where syempre that time kasi women weren't allowed to act,
Uh-huh.
and men had to take on
Oh,
the
yeah.
female roles,
Okay.
and
Okay,
they
okay.
usually had to wear like big dresses, and then the one of the urban legends of where drag comes from is like the skirts or like the big gowns dragging on stage. So parang that's one of the
Oh.
urban
Yun pala yun, 'no?
legend. And then
Okay,
the
okay.
other one is ano naman siya
Okay.
as an acronym,
Hmm.
referring to dressed as a girl. So ewan ko. I mean, we
Okay,
I heard
okay.
I heard
uh,
I heard it's dressed resembling a
resembling
girl.
a girl.
Resembling a girl, resembling
Ayun.
a girl. Okay.
Parang may
Okay.
mga ganong legends of where the term comes from or where it
Right.
was
Ma
popularized, but like we don't
ma
know for sure really.
para mas believable yung Shakespearean, right? Yung parang you drag your I don't know. Parang yung acronym
Pilit
parang
ba?
medyo ano na, eh,
Pilit ba
medyo
yung
pilit na
acronym?
yung acronym, eh, 'no?
Pero it's
Anyways.
nice, no? It kind of makes sense. Well, Mix,
Mm.
actually, I want to get back to the original question that Lance had for you. No,
Yeah.
we're referring to you as Myx Chanel, but we
Yes.
know that Myx Chanel is your stage persona, your drag
Yes.
character. Um,
Yeah.
how did you kind of construct that persona when you were getting into it? And parang, I guess, what is the differences and similarities between, you know,
Mhm.
si Myx Chanel and you as a person, as Sean, di ba?
Um well, like the name comes from, aside from being a pun of like Mix Channel, which
Yeah, right.
obsession
Yeah,
ko
yeah,
yan when
yeah.
I was in like late grade school, early high school. I would go home every day to watch Daily Top
Kudos.
10 kasi that was the era of like yung naging uso pa lang K-pop with To Anyone, Girls' Generation. That was the time of
Mhm.
like Pussycat Dolls, Lady Gaga. So
Yeah.
like peak pop girl era. And that was like
Mhm.
super influential for me in like discovering myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just like parang a word play on my name. So mix as in the non-binary honorific, same as Mr. Miss. So for non-binary people, there's
Oo nga,
mix.
Oh.
no?
And then
Yeah. Yeah.
Chanel comes from my name. So Sean, and then my last name starts with L. So
Oh,
Sean
shit. Oo
L.
nga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a very
um
well thought of name, I think, right?
yeah, when
Everything.
I came up with it, I was really like, okay, I have no other choice. This is it. Like it makes the most sense. And ayun, that's where the persona comes from. Really, is like a lot of the media that I related to as growing up, being a very flamboyant and feminine gay boy,
Yeah.
just relating to strong female characters on movies, on cartoons,
Mhm.
like the pop girls that were like really groundbreaking at the time because nobody
Mhm.
was like pushing the visuals of music as much as they were. So parang that's where the inspiration for my drag comes from.
I see. I see. Kala ko, Matt, it was just an obsession with Chanel bags, you know? I thought it was that. I thought it was that.
Well,
Pwede
ano rin
rin. Pwede
kasi,
rin. Pwede
Pwede
rin.
rin, hindi naman not naman like not like the Chanel, the actual design, like the actual like couture house or designer house.
Right, right.
But it's inspired by kasi in like the ballroom scene of 80s New York, which is parang super adjacent, super parallel to drag. Parang there's a lot of overlap,
Mhm.
but they're like two different cultures. Anyway,
Yeah,
it from the ball scene in New York, sobrang uso dun yung taking designer names as like the names of your
yeah.
houses. So like
Right,
house of uh
Louis
Gucci.
Vuitton. Oh
right,
yeah.
Oh,
right, right,
parang
right.
a lot of them take the names of these, of course, like designer brands that nobody could afford and appropriating them into the culture.
Think of the sponsorship opportunities, diba?
That's true. Ako ang benchmark like I know that my drag name is like my drag name is a lawsuit waiting to happen, and I know
Oh.
I've made it if I get a cease and desist from either Mix or Chanel.
Hindi yan, hindi yan, ang
I mean,
dami
it's
ng
free
ganyan,
promo for
right.
them, but we
Exactly,
never know.
exactly.
Free promo for you as well, diba?
Correct.
uh Mix, I think I wanna dive deeper into your background, no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have had an extensive theater background then, right? Can you talk to us,
Yes.
no, about how that built towards you being an artist today, diba? Not anyone can be a performer like yourself.
Mhm.
Not anyone can be a queen like yourself, right? So I bet these background helped you become who you are today.
Yes. So, actually, like my most extensive background is as a visual artist. So, para ever since I was a kid,
Mm,
sobrang hilig ko na sa
yeah,
fine arts, visual arts,
right,
drawing,
right.
painting, and then I got into graphic design. Tapos, so I applied to my course in college was for graphic design, information design in Ateneo, and then right before parang the summer in between high school and college, that was when I first discovered Drag Race, and I guess my interest in drag and theater kind of came about at the same time.
Right.
So I started watching Drag Race, becoming like super obsessed with the concept of performing, but I wasn't really doing drag then yet. But
Mhm.
that's also kind of why I got into theater. So in my first year of college, I applied to a theater organization as I wanted to be like a costumes and makeup and props person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then parang I somehow got signed up as like an ensemble member, and it happened from there. Parang
Mhm.
I was interested in the concept of drag and performing, and then somehow I got into performing, and then I eventually just decided to like apply for a second major in theater like at some point
Grabe.
in my
Wow.
college life.
That one decision, no? That one decision actually paved the way, di
Yeah.
ba? For this one. Mix, if you don't mind me asking, no, were you still in Ateneo when Arete was established?
Kami yung batch na in-edging kami on Arete for the
Oh.
longest time. Kasi I remember
Okay.
parang
Right, right.
Arete was the building Arete became a concept parang second year college ako, and then they promised
Okay.
us na parang by third year or fourth year namin built na dapat siya. But
Right.
na-experience ko lang yung Arete because I extended. So nung fifth year ko na siya na-experience
I
talaga.
see.
So
I
kami yung
see.
batch na parang ang tagal namin hinihintay,
Right.
but most of my batchmates didn't even get to study in the building.
Right. Parang yung hint sa akin was when you mentioned you took information design. And
Yeah.
actually, lahat ng mga ID majors, no, para sa mga listeners natin ngayon, they actually take their classes in Arete ngayon. Nowadays,
Yes.
nowadays, right? So, I
Nowadays,
thought,
oo.
wow, Mix is right in an Arete na enjoy niya yung classes doon. I guess not, no? No, fifth year
Ah,
na.
Oo, no fifth year na. When I was doing my
Right.
majors for ID, I was still stuck in Gonzaga. But that's also fun kasi in
Parehas
between,
tayo, parehas
like,
tayo, parehas
during
tayo.
my 10-minute breaks, pwede pa akong pumunta sa Calf Up to eat.
Right, 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 right. Parehas tayo dyan, parehas tayo.
Mix chismis ko during Blue Rep. I guess the plays that you've done,
Mm.
medyo you kind of shown flashes of your drag race persona or the drag race kind of performance that you'd later be doing. Uh, can you kind of elaborate on that and how did that kind of lead to?
So for the last three acting roles I had in college, I was kind of typecasted as the queer person. um so
Bakit
in the
kaya?
first I wonder why. Charot.
I wonder
um
why.
So I was in fourth year. I was a newbie in Blue Rep. Adam's Family, the musical. I was cast as an ensemble member,
Mm,
and I
ayun.
happened to be the ancestor, the ghost ancestor who was like who was very very queer coded, very trans coded character.
Yeah.
And wala lang, because our makeup was so fun, so we had to do white face all the time, and then we had to be contouring and shading with blue and black. Um,
Right.
I asked the director for the makeup for like the artistic director in charge of makeup. I asked permission if I could be doing like a different makeup look every night, just because I was very much
Oh.
deep into makeup that time. Parang I started picking up makeup around 2013, and that was
Yeah.
2016. I was also working as like a freelance makeup artist on the side. So parang just for the show, just to keep myself excited for the role, I was doing a different makeup look every night. And then for the next one, kung paano ako naging leading lady. So my role was like again a very queer coded feline superhero. So that was a lot of stunts. So I get to use some of that still performing these
Mm.
days. And then the last one I did was with Tanghalang Ateneo.
Yeah, of course.
I played for Jana Silang 2. I played Miro,
Oh,
who is
right.
another gay
Mhm.
character. Again, the
Yeah.
typecast.
Okay lang na it brought you to, where you are today, 'di
Yeah,
ba?
that's true. That's true.
'Di ba? Yeah. Alam mo, ang dami talaga nadi-discover kapag nag-blue rep, no? I've seen a trend already. Pag nag-blue rep ka, you have that solid foundation of, theater
I think
performances, eh,
theater
'di
in
ba?
general, like
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
something that
Maganda.
we may not have been exposed to when we're growing up,
Yeah.
pero biglang alam mo 'yun.
Exactly.
Parang si Kel actually, Kel Kiwa.
Kiel Kiwa, right? Kiel
Yes.
Kiwa,
Si
no?
Kel.
He was a guest before din, no, sa Project Offbeat. Yeah. But
Si Kel was my castmate in Jana Silang, Tanghalang Ateneo.
Ayun.
yun, syempre, 'di ba? Siguro mix yung next kong question, no. Obviously performer, 'di ba? And we've
Mhm.
always discussed this with yung performers din na naging guest namin before, yung pandemic, 'di ba? Yung
Mhm.
pandemic wherein hindi makalabas mga tao, paano sila manonood, right?
Yes.
Paano sila mag-enjoy, right? Can you talk to us about the pandemic and what the challenges are, in being an artist like yourself?
Mhm.
What it posed then, 'di ba? And what are
Yes.
the opportunities rin na nakita mo during those age?
Well, actually, when the pandemic happened, I was still a full-time graphic artist um
Yeah.
for an e-commerce company at that point.
Mm.
And drag was my coping mechanism in a way. So I only started doing drag during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Kasi parang there were like a few months where our office had to shut down because we didn't know how to like move on with operations yet. And that during that time, I had a few things at home. Like I had my makeup kit, I had like a wig, I had like a sewing machine. Um, I kind of used that time to start finally getting to do drag because I've been interested in it for the longest time, for like 2020. So it's like 7 years. I knew about Drag Race and
Wow,
was like,
7 years.
yeah, I was very much
Yeah.
curious and kind of dipping my toes into drag every now and then. But nung pandemic, that was when I was like, okay, I have nothing else to do. I'm stuck at home. Let me just do this one thing that I've always wanted to do. Let me try making it work, making it happen. And eventually parang nagkaroon ng online scene. Una parang Zoom parties, Zoom balls, so everyone would just like get dressed up. There are categories. And then nagkaroon ng online competitions, nagkaroon ng online live shows. So it parang drag was just like my way of getting through the pandemic, was like my coping mechanism, and then it just evolved into my creative outlet and
Yeah.
now like my full on job.
Oo nga, eh, 'di ba? I think dun din nag-rise yung mga kumu, no? wherein
Yes.
streaming, right? Mobile
Yes.
streaming nowadays are like, bam, all the hype, right? Did you take
Oo,
part in
parang
any of those competitions, di ba? Ang dami nun
oo.
di ba? Sa,
So, I did a competition on Facebook in 2020,
oh,
yung
wow.
Spaces Spotlight.
Yep.
And then parang majority of 2021 I was on Kumu. I was like doing live shows with my friends there, joining random talent
Yeah.
competitions. Parang anything to just like keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. Buti na lang, di ba? I mean, I think yun din siguro yung, I think our podcast also started nung pandemic, right? People were always looking for content and
Yeah.
creators that are actually, sharing some content
Creative
here and there,
outlets,
right?
yes.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, I'm happy that you're here right now, no?
Mix, I'm wondering when Drag Race came out, because I'm not super clear on when it came out.
Mhm.
No, was it during your kind of sabihin na natin launch as a as a queen,
Uh
Drag Race queen, or was it like did you get to launch
Yeah.
before
Sa
the Drag Race
spotlight pa
series
lang ba,
or what?
Mix?
yeah.
Were you
We're
Mix Chanel na?
Yes. So
Ah, okay.
I've had the name I've had this drag name for like the majority of my inception as a drag artist, I guess.
Mm.
Um Drag Race Philippines aired, so it was shot in December of 2021. It aired last year August. So
Mm.
by that point, um by the time that they announced Drag Race Philippines, I don't know, I was a lit- I was able to establish myself a little bit online.
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
in some rumored cast lists pa nga for like months after the shooting. Um, yeah, but that time, so me and Baus already knew that Drag Race Philippines was happening. We started doing the podcast as a way of like preparing. We did it like around the same time that Drag Race Philippines was announced. Then
Mm-mm.
we started doing the podcast as a preparation of like, kasi sobrang uso, especially in the States, yung recaps or like reviews of Drag
Yeah.
Race, the US
Sure.
Reaction.
Yeah.
franchise.
Right. Right.
We started gearing up for that because we wanted to be like the main show that does recaps of Drag Race Philippines, since they
Right.
are like the queen majority of the cast of the season 1 cast is are my workmates essentially. So I
Mm-mm.
had a connection to them. We wanted to be like the ones to like onboard them and have them on as guests and like talk about their experiences. So we started
Smart,
doing the
smart. Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. And then eventually we were just like, why don't we start doing viewing parties?
Mm-hmm.
Um the two US seasons before Drag Race Philippines happened. And it kind of just took off and blew up. And by the time that Drag Race Philippines aired, we were doing viewing parties like twice a week
Wow.
for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mix, I guess the reason why I'm asking is because I wanted to ask like what is the impact of this show to your life, right? Um how is the perception around drag changed, or has it changed before and after? Parang when you were doing drag race performances
Mhm.
before, parang was the reception different from how it is now, 'di ba? So parang I just want to understand the impact of the show to you.
Completely. Like it's totally different. Before it was like this very niche audience. Parang people that are
Yeah.
really heavily into Drag Race, the US franchise, or the other international franchises. And then they're also like curious about local drag, or like people that have been going to O-Bar or bars in Malate pre-pandemic. So parang yun yung niche audience namin before. And then when Drag Race Philippines happened, it's like everyone is watching. um, the most impact I saw was when we were still doing viewing parties for season 14 and All Star 7 of Drag Race US. Meron kaming mga regulars. We had like the same people going every week, or parang every other week pa at that point, going to our viewing parties. Like siguro parang 20% of our audience was newcomers. Noong Drag Race Philippines, every week it was a totally new set of people. Parang it really kind of helped legitimize drag in the Philippines. Ano siya eh, may
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
mainstream power na siya.
Yeah.
Right. Pero for such a conservative kind of, sabihin na natin, conservative kind of
Mhm.
country, why do you think it,
Catholic, 'di ba?
yeah,
Catholic
exactly,
Yeah.
right?
pa. Yeah.
Why do you think it kind of become mainstream? Why did it succeed? Why did it entertain majority of the, like, parang why did it
Mhm.
gain an audience, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, I think drag, or at least like the concept or the art of it, has been kind of um in mainstream television for the longest time. Parang we have Michael V, who's been cross-dressing for comedy skits on Bubble Gang since
Yeah.
forever. We've had Dolphy, um,
Yeah.
Vice Ganda, who's not a drag artist per se, but like employs
Uh-huh.
aspects of drag into the
Yeah.
way they present on TV. And then of course si Paolo Ballesteros, who is a noontime host, who is
Exactly.
in
Right,
drag
right.
on a
Oh.
noontime show every day for the past
Global na
two
siya ngayon,
years.
no? I think he's global now, right?
Yeah, so
He's winning contests, yeah.
drag has kind of been there for a while now. For the last, siguro, let's say, like the past decade, people kind of have been seeing drag on mainstream television, but
Yeah.
not to like its fullest extent. And now I think because of personalities like Vice, Paolo, na when people got exposed to like the full weight of drag artists, of these like glamorous flamboyant performers, parang because their curiosity has been piqued for the longest time, eto na siya. Like, people are
Yeah.
finally like giving into that curiosity.
Baka si Vice, si Paolo, tapos next time si Mix na rin, right?
Oh my god.
Mix might be one one of those in the roster of people that
Raketera nga daw, di ba?
Raketera, diba? Drove the
Well,
change,
we'll
diba?
see.
Hey, we completely are behind you. Anyways, Mix, I wanna narrow in on what you mentioned earlier, viewing party, right?
Yeah.
Which is sobrang unique for me ni Matt, no, as fellow
Mm,
podcasters. We know podcast as something na parang evergreen content. Pwede mo yung
mm,
pakinggan habang nag-drive ka or nagko-commute ka to work, right? Pero
mm,
you and your co-host sa Bekenemen, no, you actually were able to bring in people together in a watch party, right? In that same
mm.
time, watching with you, 'di ba? 'Di ba? How did you guys even do that, 'di ba? 'Di ba? How did you bring all of these people to, listen to your pod and listen to your
Mm-mm.
reaction and just talk about this wonderful show that's been going on?
Well, like to quote the great RuPaul, you don't have to
Yeah,
reinvent the wheel. So podcasts, like recap podcasts, recap shows for Drag Race and Drag Race viewing parties have been a thing in the States for years now. Kasi nga the show
yeah,
has been going on for 15 years. So the viewing parties and podcasts and recaps were a thing for a while. So we kind of just started with the podcast. We started with the recap because it was the easiest thing to get into. We just had to like sit
yeah,
in a Zoom room for an hour and talk about our favorite show. It's just like the easiest thing for us.
yeah,
And then since me and Baus both do have theater backgrounds, theater experiences, we're also both marketing and advertising people. We kind of just thought of the idea of why not bring the viewing party system from the US to here. Um,
mm, mm,
Kasi before the pandemic naman, there were viewing parties, like people tried to start them, but no, parang walang sobrang nag-establish, walang naging sobrang regular. It was like a one-off
yeah,
event, usually for like a charity event or something. And then we kind of just thought of, we do have a little bit of a listenership. We do have like a little bit of a following. Why not we bank on that, and also bank on our other drag artist friends, bring that together, and just create a space where people can just come and enjoy our favorite show together, and also be start getting exposed to local drag. Kasi I
yeah.
guess that was like our biggest advocacy behind it, was so many people are fans of Drag Race, but not a lot of people are exposed to the local drag scene. So that's what we
Good
Correct.
point. Yeah, good point.
yeah, that's what we
Exactly.
started doing.
In-expect nyo ba to, Mix? Kasi I saw in one of your interviews ata with the magazine that
Mhm.
parang you had this, ano ba to? Parang you watch party for the finale ba? Or for the awarding.
Yes.
And then,
Okay,
it,
oo.
you had a sign-up page and it suddenly like,
Yeah.
bogged down or something, right? Talk to us
Oo.
about that. Talk to us about that sudden surge of people wanting to join you.
So that's Drag Race Philippines. That was technically our third season of viewing parties na. So we did season
Okay.
14, and
Mm.
All Star 7. So Drag Race Philippines. And we were teasing. Since we knew I knew majority of the cast. We were already kind of teasing the cast for Drag Race Philippines before
Yeah.
the season aired. So we were always booking them for our shows, like introducing people. Okay, this is a person. Watch this person perform. You might want to get to see them more in the future. Parang ganun yung ginagawa namin. And by the time the Drag Race Philippines aired, we were pretty much established na as we were the viewing party. Because at that,
Yeah.
right before Drag Race Philippines, we were the only people doing viewing party events. Tapos ayun, our audience is like, we only have like seats for like 180 people, parang something like that. Basta like, no, 150, 120 to 150 yung audience namin per week. And at that point, that was like the third to the last main episode. We have this ticketing partner, Upmesh. So
Yeah.
it's an automated ticketing system.
Right.
And we announced na, okay, at this time, our tickets for this viewing party, parang we had like 7 out of the 12 cast members of Drag Race Philippines in our lineup
Ooh.
that week.
Grabe.
Tapos, so yun nga, we only had like 120 to 150 tickets available, and then there were 10,000 people waiting on the website.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah.
I was
Medyo parang
expecting
kami
like, uy, baka 1,000 or something. Tapos
Yeah.
biglang, whoosh,
oo.
10,000.
Kaya
Yeah.
the poster got a bit traction on Twitter, and then we announced, okay, it's at this time, so people were really like waiting for the tickets at that time.
Yeah.
I saw some parang a little bit of scalping activity on some like
Hala.
marketplace groups. It was super stressful, but that was like really like mind blowing for me and Boss, because we
Yeah.
started this not really looking to make any money. It was really just like our
Yeah.
advocacy of, we love this show and we love our local queens. Let's bring the
Yeah.
audiences of these two together.
Goes to show how you made it talaga, no? Biro mo, 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, right? That's crazy. Diba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was super.
Yeah. Mix, this is a careers podcast, right? And we'd also like to sort of be educated then, no? Sa drag industry, no? Is it only yung career ba there is only being a performer? Is it exclusive to that? Or meron pang ibang careers? For example, I'm interested with drag, right? Are there anything else that I can do? Example, introvert ako, di ba? Hindi ko talaga kaya humarap sa mga tao, right? Is there any other opportunity for me out there?
May plano ka, Balance.
You never know. You never know. Keeping it an open mind, di ba?
Drag kasi it's as much of a craft as it is a performance. So drag can be anywhere. There are merong mga queens that are performers, and then there are queens that are visual artists. Like their footing in drag is they just like being a fashionista, or like yung persona is
Okay.
like more high fashion. And then there are
Okay.
queens who are really great with styling hair. So on top of them
Yeah.
performing in their own drag, they also are commissioned by other queens to style hair for them.
Yeah.
We have hosts. We have a TikTok personality. As Tita Baby started off as like doing drag for comedy skits on TikTok. So it's really, drag is the craft eh. Parang it's parang performing is only a part of it. It's really the transformative aspect, the creative aspect of taking who you are, your physical person right now, and then making it something more artistic, more glamorous. So it can
Pwede
be
palang
employed in
yeah.
anything.
Oo.
Yeah.
Parang it's, now that you've done drag, then what?
Yeah.
How will you kind of like
Exactly.
push the
Kumbaga,
medium forward?
to put it easiest, it's a uniform. Now, what job are you doing in that uniform?
Right.
Parang basta parang the rule of thumb is it's a bit more glamour. No, it's a bit more.
It's the transformation aspect.
Diba?
It's the artistic
The
transformation.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Okay, hey, we learned something today, Matt, right? That's very, very interesting. Okay, actually, gusto ko sumegue dito sa next question, Mix, right? everyone knows about the disadvantages of being LGBTQ or working as drag,
Yes.
right, in this career, right? Can you talk to us naman about um yung advantages naman ng hindi nakikita ng mga tao when you work with a drag personality, right, or a drag artist, 'di ba? Ano 'yun, 'di ba? Paano ano yung kasi for example ako, um
Yes.
I always tell all of my friends, no, na 'pag nagpagupit ako, gusto ko sa stylist at hindi barbero. Dahil
Yes.
they just have this knack of, exactly to your word, no, glamorizing, 'di ba, my hair, the edges, right? It's
Yeah.
ang ganda ng ang ganda ng touch nila. I can't emphasize it enough, right? I don't know how they make it, right? So, siguro
Mhm.
can you talk to us about that, no? Ano yung mga advantages naman?
Siguro for the client side, as a as a
Okay, okay.
marketing person, the
Okay,
client
okay.
side, the biggest advantage of hiring a drag artist is a drag artist is the full package. Usually, siguro
Mm,
like you
okay.
have your drag artist and then they have like one or two assistants to them. It's not like when you're hiring an artista, the artista or their team, their management has to hire a hairstylist, has to hire a makeup artist, has
Mm,
to hire backup dancers, a set designer. Parang most queens, most of us, of course, when when you start elevating, you employ more people, but like at its base level, queens are like the full package. We're our own
yeah.
hairstylist, our own
Damn.
wardrobe, our own makeup, our own a lot of queens have to make their own music mixes, a lot of their own like visual backgrounds.
Grabe, no? Yeah,
Yeah, so parang you're hiring a person with a strong artistic vision for their
exactly.
performance. Unlike
Exactly.
with an artista or like a dancer, parang ano pa siya, it's a whole other creative
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Unlike when you're with a drag queen, it's like, okay,
Right.
I'm a drag artist, this is what I want to perform, this is what I want the lights to be like, this is what I want my music. Ganon. As in, it's
Right.
most drag artists really
Performer.
already have.
Performer
Oo.
talaga.
Uh,
Performer talaga,
like the
no?
whole
Yeah.
visual
Right,
aspect of it.
right.
Mm-mm. So
Yeah.
that's like an advantage on the client side. On the on the side of the queens, it's at least for me, it's like I have like the best job in the world. Um, I get paid to look pretty and dance around for people. I get to
Yeah.
meet people. Um, it's like it's as much my hobby, as much my passion, as much my creative outlet as it is a means for me to make money, to make a living. And not a
Mm.
lot of people are blessed with that opportunity, that
Yeah.
privilege of making a living out of the thing that you love doing the most.
Yeah. And to think, 'di ba, before you were a visual artist pa, ngayon nagagamit mo na rin siya. Right? In every
Yes.
aspect of this being a drag artist, right? So, grabe. Mati, ito ba yung sinasabi nilang ikigai? No? Kung saan, di ba? Ito ata yun, no? Kung saan
Naka-relate ata si Mix dun ah.
Oh my
oo
god,
nga eh, di ba?
napaka-Ateneo term ng ikigai.
Napaka-Ateneo, di ba? Pero kung saan nagtutugma-tugma lahat, no? Sorry, Matt. Go ahead, go ahead. I think you have something to ask.
I guess it's more of like if people were into drag, let's say
Mhm.
Lance and myself. I've never actually watched a drag show yet, but like if people are kind of interested and kind of wanting to open their minds into this kind of world of performance, how would you kind of advise them to start? Where do you start watching? What communities do you kind of endorse them to?
First of all, don't. Charot.
Wow.
It's drag is
Bakit
definitely a
naman?
rabbit hole. It's a very
Really?
addicting rabbit hole. Once you get into it, it's really just like the next thing because it's a very compelling art form.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But if you want
Yeah.
to start like watching shows, a lot of places, especially now, post Drag Race Philippines, post Drag Den Philippines, there's a lot more nightlife places that have drag performers. There's also a lot of opportunities for corporate events, brand
Mm,
partnerships,
mm.
brand activations, private events that book queens, so you never know when a drag performer is coming to like the nearest event. um but yeah, just like go out and watch the girls, support. and dami, as in, even like, we as before, kasi pre-pandemic there was mostly just like Obar and Nectar, and then the few other like gay bars in the metro, but now it's like everywhere. Sobrang dami
Yeah.
ng places that you
Yeah.
can go out to see drag performers.
Yeah.
Right, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Mix, because in our recent in our Christmas party for Canva, nagkaroon ng parang drag queen kind of, like there's like two or three that performed, and people were going wild with it because
Yeah,
they
Yeah.
recognized the
exactly.
people and they were so happy lang. Wala lang, parang I just wanted to share na yeah, it is getting more mainstream attention. They are getting more events and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Mix, tingin mo ba, real talk lang, no? What if, do you think this being this performer, is it only for the privileged few? No, na may safety net, no, na may, alam mo yun,
Mm,
or kaya to, as long as you put in the work, you will find opportunities there.
it's both. Ako, like, from coming from me na I had a full-time job
Yeah.
for the most part of my drag career. It wasn't until like October last year that I decided to like do this full time. It helps. It helps to have a safety net. It helps to have another source of income.
Yeah.
Kasi it is expensive, especially in your
Mm.
first few months. Expect that you're going to be putting more money into this than you are making.
Yeah,
Kasi
for sure.
you still have to put on the wigs, you still have to put on the costume, you still have to buy all of the things that are necessary to do your work,
Yeah.
and it's not
Yeah.
like the easiest thing to establish yourself agad to
Yeah.
a point that you can charge a certain amount, 'di ba? A
Yeah.
certain like more luxury friendly income, I guess. Um but I definitely know people that really just jump head on into this and are making it work. Diskarte talaga kasi it's not a fixed income. Kumbaga, depende rin sa work ethic mo, depende sa sipag mo, depende sa places that you're working at, depende rin yan sa, pakikitungo mo sa mga tao, because a big part of our job is, interacting with the people who are watching, and,
Mm.
getting tips from those people on top of the regular show fee, regular talent fee. So, ano siya, it helps to have another source of income, but it's definitely something that you can do with the right mindset, with the right
Yeah.
perseverance on its own.
Right. And Mix, I can imagine that as a artist, you kind of want to achieve the vision that you have. Na
Ah, yeah.
if you can't afford it, na parang, no, I want to give the best
Hirap.
performance that I can, di ba?
Oo.
That was the reason why I wasn't that parang natagalan ako to start doing drag, kasi I was a college student. So, I didn't
Right,
have a
right.
lot of money. And I'm that person na if it's not going to come out the way that I wanted to, I'd rather like put it off until I'm ready.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
that's why I was only able to start doing drag when I was when I had a full-time job, and
Yeah.
when I was making money elsewhere.
right, right.
Yeah. Mix, para sa mga taong mag-a-apply dito or gusto talagang makuha tong career, would you say that when you make it in this career, you really make it, no? For example, like mga Pinoy celebrities, alam mo, they make, right? I mean, if you make it out there, hey, you know what? You're solved, diba? You're good for life, diba? Would you say that the best, drag artists out there will also have that same economical, relief later on?
In a way, it's definitely yung my friends that have gotten on Drag Race the first season, I really saw like the financial impact the show had to them just
Wow.
because of the
Ganda.
exposure. And kasi the show is international. Let's say it's a local
Exactly.
franchise, but the reach and the audience is still international. So,
Exactly.
the booking fees still have to reflect that international level of fame. Um, so it financially, getting on the show is a really big part, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's like diskarte talaga siya. Kasi even if you get on the show but you don't continuously like put yourself out there, if you don't continuously try to elevate your craft, people are going to forget about you that the next season that comes around, the next cast that comes around. Kasi na siya parang because Drag Race has become such a global phenomenon, everyone wants to be a drag queen now. Like
Yeah.
like every other gay person wants to be a drag performer. So
Yeah.
you're constantly competing with that insurgence of more queens, and
Yeah.
you
Right.
never know if there's another person that has more stunts than you, that has better fashion. Like you never know who's going to come out to compete, in a way,
Yeah.
parang in a marketing term, compete with you. So you have to like consistently just push yourself to,
Yeah.
to put yourself out there, better your craft. Parang it's a continuous grind, definitely.
Yeah.
Hindi ka pwedeng
Yeah.
maging kampante.
I didn't even think about the competition aspect of it. Na more and more people are getting into it, and they
Oo.
could be ahead
Oo.
in terms of dance or fashion or
Oo.
whatnot, and how that would feel as a as a drag
Oo.
race performer. Na parang, oh shit, I have to bring my A game, or my performances has to be really good each time.
Not naman that it's a competition that you have to be like super uber competitive and wala ka nang iko-cultivate the friendships. The
Mm.
friendship and the sisterhood is a big aspect of the culture.
Oh,
But
okay,
just like
okay.
marketing wise, market wise, there's a certain number of
Right.
jobs and an endless number of queens. So, of course, kung sino man yung may pinakamagandang exposure, kung sino may pinakamagandang package, are the ones that are going to be booked for these
Correct.
jobs.
Right, right. Oh.
Yeah.
Even because I know queens who've been doing this for more than 2 decades now, that aren't aren't as busy as the girls that got on the show. So like it's a lot of aspects talaga of like just putting yourself
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. May ganun din talaga. Would you want to like shout out any establishment out there that's given drag artists so much opportunities? Parang siguro sila talaga yung unang naniwala sa inyo, unang nagbigay sa inyo ng mga platform, no? Who has been consistently been there for you guys.
Of course, you might like the most popular places to see drag queens is still like Nectar and Obar. Those
Yeah.
were like the more popular um show bars before the pandemic. There was Spaces Manila, which is parang the media branch
Siyempre.
of
Siyempre.
the
Yeah.
organization Love Yourself. Parang it really helped. Spaces really helped create an online scene for us. And now just like any person who is rallying for queens in every event. Kasi, alam mo yun, you never know when your friend suddenly goes up to you na, oh, pinapropose kita sa boss ko for our next Christmas party. Stuff like that. Like, just anyone who is rallying behind
Yeah.
creating more spaces and jobs for queens.
Alam ko na. Matt, ah. Alam mo na kung saan tayo manonood. Mix, okay. Siguro, last question before we go to the off the record part. No? Okay. Me and Matt were from the corporate, right? And actually,
Mhm.
a lot of our listeners mix are from the corporate scene. No? I guess what I want to ask is, say, there is a time where we want to support these artists, the
Mhm.
drag artists, right? And this industry, right? What is the best way to do it, right? Go watch the shows, obviously, right? Any other way, no, that we can support you guys in this industry?
Well, I mean, like, just being realistic. Any way that you can help us earn money or you can give us money. Well, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
drag is not cheap. And of course, like
exactly.
elevating your craft is gets really expensive, especially now that Drag Race is
Yeah.
here. Parang tumaas lalo yung standard of what a drag queen should look like or should present like. Just any way that if your company is talking about having an event or having a Christmas party, like
Parang
just the off
Canva.
chance.
Yeah,
Oh, just the off chance of like, wait, why don't we book a performer for this show? Why don't we book a
yeah,
performer for this event? Also, like, we have Gcash. So like if
yeah,
if you personally know a queen, go to their personal channels, message them, reach out, like, hey, is there some way that I can support you? Stuff like that. Also just
yeah,
like as simple as sharing an event.
yeah.
Parang if you see an event that has queen on the poster or queens in the lineup, parang just
Yep.
share it because you never know who that event will reach and who it will entice to come watch and support the girls.
Got it, got it. Nakuha ko lahat yun, di lang yung Gcash, no? Kasi Myx, I work in Maya no. So, joke lang, joke lang. Okay
Ay,
lang.
oh my God.
GCash, Maya, we're all cooperative, 'di ba? Cooperative tayo.
The ano pala,
Sorry.
the online e-wallet market. Charot.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Gawa na ng
Sorry,
Maya
go.
para support.
Ah, Oo nga
Correct.
Gagawan natin ng something yan, no? Anyways, yeah, I think we can end the show there. Myx, thank you so much for joining us off the beaten path, diba? Ang dami namin tatunan of being a drag artist and LGBTQ in general, diba? So, thank you for sharing that to us, no? Myx, can you tell us right now where you are right now? What are you excited about in the next few days, diba? Or next few months for your beautiful career?
Well, like for the drag industry in general, we just finished two really amazing reality competition shows. We just finished Drag Race Philippines
Mm,
and we just
yeah.
finished Drag Den Philippines. There's a lot more drag centric content coming out on mainstream television. Alam ko magkakaroon ng teleserye with drag queens. There's going to be another competition coming out soon. So support those. Support the queens and other drag artists wherever you can. Um, Sabihin nyo sa boss nyo kumuha kayong drag performer for any event, whatever. And just for myself,
Siyempre.
I am at Chanel on Instagram and at Chanel on Twitter. I have a few shows coming up. I have a K-pop drag show on Feb 12
Ooh.
at the Chingu Daichi Cafe in Manila. And also just support my podcast with TikTok advertising content creator Baos Rufo. That's at Bekenemen Pod, Bekenemen podcast. We're part of Bunk Collective, and just
Yep.
like thank you for supporting. Thank you for listening to this episode.
Yeah.
Plug mo na
All
yung
right.
Gcash mo.
Uy.
Ay,
Uy.
message nyo
Sige.
lang ako sa Instagram, bigay ko yung QR kasi pag in-announce ko yung number ko dito, baka biglang may tumawag. Charot.
Ay, good point.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to the show. If you liked our show, follow as well in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at the Project Offbeat. Thanks, guys. Kita-kits sa next episode. And here's to taking the off the beaten path. Thanks, guys.